Welcome back to the AI Business News Desk. Terry Sweeney here, contributing editor with AI Business. And joining me now is Josh Streets, practice leader for HDI and ICMI's AI Consulting. Josh, welcome to News Desk.
Good to be here, Terry. Appreciate it.
Let's start off just with some context. I'm super curious from your perspective what you've seen from companies who have successfully implemented AI, and even if they're able to get some sort of ROI from either a test or an actual deployment. What are you seeing there?
So when we look across the CX portfolio, the IT portfolio, probably the one common denominator that we're seeing there for those that are doing this and doing it well is a mindset. And it's really a
Okay.
shift, if you will. And that mindset difference that they have is that AI is not a project, it's a transformation. And they're treating it as such. It's not just one little project where you pick a tool and wave a magic wand and all of a sudden you know about AI and have AI. It's deeper than that. It's a framework, and they've chosen a framework, they've chosen a vision, a strategy, a methodology, and we've helped them get there, or they've shared with us what they're trying to accomplish, but they realize there's a lot of pitfalls that happen in this, and
Sure.
this is the future of work as we know it. It's here, it's happening, but it's not a one and done project like a traditional IT, technology project. This is changing your entire environment.
Sure. I'm glad to hear you say this because so much of the AI testing that we hear about or read about feels a little performative, a little keeping up with the competition. We're not really sure where this is going, but hey, we've got budget money, so we'll spend it.
That's absolutely right. I mean, a lot of people are referencing this week here at the show the MIT study of the 5% get generative AI results and that are ongoing and long-standing. We know that it's more than that.
Do you think that percentage is high?
If you read that report, it is actually pretty interesting how they classify success or not. But I think it's a little bit more. But I would also say those are the organizations that are probably moving forward the way that we just talked about.
Talk a little bit about how the advancement of generative AI has impacted consulting services for your groups.
Not a bit.
Really?
So yeah, I'm contrarian view here today.
Okay.
I guess. You've seen the headlines. You've seen a lot of the stuff out there around. Gen AI with the right prompt just became your $500 to $1,000 an hour consultant. Fact of the matter is, with the HDI and the ICMI consulting, we've been doing this well before generative AI. So we were preparing folks for AI, data science, roadmap, strategy. How do you get the foundation built so that way when it does mature and get here, you're actually ready to implement it in your call center, your IT service desk, and beyond. So that's not changed with generative AI. Maybe it's made our jobs a little bit easier to, produce some of the things that we're putting out. But in terms of it replacing us or stealing jobs or making our jobs 100% more easy, not the case.
Sure.
Now it's governance. Give us governance guardrails. How do
Okay.
we do this securely? And every company's at a different place on that journey. So you read a lot of the headlines about thousands of consulting jobs are impacted, but for ours, a little smaller, little niche, really focused on two particular segments, we haven't seen really any impact.
Okay. I mean, Gen AI to me has felt like what search should have been in the first place. And in that vein, like a little surprising that Google and some of the search engine leaders have had to play catch up with a lot of this. Is that view too reductive?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's spot on. I mean, the place in the market is seemingly changing constantly with the big five of kind of who's leading in which area of AI. And that goes back to this whole thing around this being an ecosystem and more than just one tool. It's almost like if you have a new team you're building, you don't just want the same skill set for each team member. You want a diverse group that's good at certain things. And who's good at what seems to be changing by the day right now.
Right. Josh, what are you telling C-suite executives what to expect around AI in the next year or two with regard to the technology itself, the business climate, and even just how much this will drive innovation for them? Is that a story that sells these days?
Not so much.
Sure.
I see it like this: 2024, 2025, probably a little bit, like the party, right? And everybody kind of jumping in early. I think where we're going in 2026, 2027 might be more of the hangover period of that, meaning we spent a lot of money, we're testing, we might not be getting the ROI, or if we are, we're not able to quantify it right now. We're trying to get the numbers behind it so we can prove and get more spend and get actually more use cases up and going. But I think you got a lot of CIOs that went out, bought into the hype cycle, rightfully so, Fortune 100, 500, and then are now just trying to prove what they did. Some are stuck where they've paid for licensing, they paid for these tools, yet they haven't been able to show the value. So some of the pump the brakes is happening so they can realign and figure out how do we move forward out of these silos that we built this in and look at it more from a macro perspective.
So speaking of recent headlines, just last week, the top 5 technology companies were estimated to be spending $520 billion in 2026 on AI investments. Does that change the equation any? Does that put pressure on early adopters or any adopters really to be more serious in how they approach and to really get busy with testing and deployment?
I think it's waking up a lot of those that weren't some of the early adopters and leaders from the early stages. So we saw a lot of just class action lawsuits, let's figure it out. There's a lot of things going on there. But in terms of actually developing something that's working and that is getting value, I think that spend, there are some that are allocating a very specific KPI in their overall spend and budget within Fortune 100, 500 that are not the big tech companies. They're saying, okay, we can't ignore this any longer. Maybe we'll be a fast follower. We let some of that get out of the way, but I think you're going to continue to see spend increase across the board for those that are truly understanding that this can be a competitive advantage even if it's not your main thing.
All right. Well, seeing as we're in tech and we consume a lot of tech media, we love our buzzwords. Agentic AI is the one that's taken up so much of our headspace. AI slop and multimodal are also quick followers. Curious from your perspective if you have a prediction for what the next big AI buzzword is likely to be.
Always going to be a buzzword, right?
Sure.
And if I had to put a guess towards it, I'd say the big one, at least in contact center and service desk, and I would guess even bigger than that, because it impacts everyone, is this whole term of orchestration. So as you go by some
Okay.
of the booths, as you started to listen to some of the webinars, some of the thought leaders like myself speaking, everybody's looking to figure out what does the orchestration need to look like for agentic to work. So it's not AI slop. So we're using the right models in the right ways,
Sure.
but then also putting some layer there, whether it's semantic or orchestration, to really be that hub or ecosystem that's leveraging agents in multiple capacities and having them work together.
For viewers who may be new to this term orchestration,
Yeah.
tell us what you mean when you
Yeah.
say that.
So orchestration is this layer that's basically acting almost like middleware from the old data science days, where you could connect it to different APIs and give people different access to different systems, whether they were a vendor, contractor, customer, employee. A lot of folks started just focusing on the cloud provider and where they were going to go with their AI, and they're very quickly understanding, okay, it's not just going to be one vendor, it's going to be multiple. How do we not only grab data, but use different use cases or agents across all of these stacks, but then control it from one centralized layer? And that's what we mean by orchestration.
Excellent.
How
All
many
right.
different tools do you want to be able to have somebody become an expert at getting access to or building? If you can do as much as possible there, you kind of like are in the brain of AI and getting it to work seamlessly across your entire business versus just one individual use case in one department.
All right. Josh, take us out with some thoughts. We talked a little bit about AI spending a few minutes ago, but to what degree does this very bullish AI spending portend for the economy and for AI engagements really in the year ahead?
Yeah, it's a bullish outlook for me, but it's also with safety and security in mind too, because it's speeding up, it's going very fast. Tokens are costing less, but just overall, you've got to have staff to support some of this. So I think you're going to continue to see spend maybe trickle up in the staff, technology obviously, but to get the results, to get out of that 5% bucket, you're truly going to have people that understand it, maybe have been through it before because it's not your traditional IT project, And then you're going to have a strategy around it because, again, it's not a project. This is a transformation. This needs to include everyone from HR to IT to ops and beyond, as well as finance, right?
Sure.
To make it all work. So I continue to see it going in that direction and people really getting clearer and more intentional about what they're going to be doing with AI next year and beyond.
All right. Well, Josh Streets, HDI and of HDI and ICMI, thanks so much for joining us on News Desk. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Terry.
We've been talking with Josh Streets of HDI and ICMI. This has been Terry Sweeney for the AI Business News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.